Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
So, hello everybody. Welcome. Just to do a quick Friday hangout on my new live channel because I haven't been able to do one in a while given the life happening, so to speak, pretty much. So, but thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are in the world. If you're behind me, in front of me, wherever you are, very much appreciated. But like I said, I wanted to go live, talk a little bit of nerdy stuff. Also re-upload at some point tonight because I haven't had a chance to do it just yet. The last 2 episodes of The Cringe Factory, which were the Rings of Power editions, pretty much. And there's some Rings of Power stuff to go over. I'm not going to go over the episode necessarily, because I'm going to do like a spoiler stream breakdown tomorrow of sorts. Lady G's going to try to be there. I'm going to see if maybe Disbrew can join in if he wants to, but for the most part, it'll be at least just one episode that we get to cover tomorrow. So it's not like 2. So it shouldn't take that long to go through one episode, or at least let's put it this way, not the 4-hour mark that I hit with the talking about the first 2 episodes. But anyway, but there's a little bit because we even have Screen Rant. We even have Screen Rant coming out and saying, because the title of the episode 3, I'm going to say hello to the chat shortly, is called Adar. Adar, and I just point out my review, which will be dropping around 3 p.m. In about a little less than an hour my time, means father in Sindarin. Sindarin being Elvish, okay? In an Elvish dialect, it means father. Now, when I heard that, at least when I heard it referenced, I assumed it meant like Sauron. It meant like Sauron, but from what I'm gathering, it looks like it's going to be a completely made up character for the series. Now, why? If that's true. If that's true, why? I have no fucking clue. Really have no fucking clue. But even Screen Rant saying, this could break lore. This how he breaks Lord of the Rings canon if this is true. And you also have CBR claiming the Rings of Power will surpass Lord of the Rings. Here's how. Sure, pretty much. And what else? And then also, and I haven't played multiverses. But I saw this article on Bounding, and I was like, you know what, we got to cover it. And that is apparently Velma. Okay, Velma is a playable character in multiverses. She cannot anymore call the police on other fighters in the multiverse versus after special move is met with scrutiny on social media. And I wonder what that scrutiny is, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, so I'm going to say hello to the chat. First off, I see Gaming or What. Hello. Good to see you. Trey Courtney, what's up? And Shane, very good to see you guys. Yes. Yeah, means father. Also Noldor. Yeah. And I think, wait, what? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it'll surpass. This is according to CBR. It'll surpass it. So we're gonna cover the Velma article, and this live stream might end up being on the shorter side because at about 3:30 p.m. I have to go with my sister to the vet to take the stray kitty we brought in to finally be seen by a vet to make sure that this cat can be around the family's other cats. So I'll be leaving shortly. I got to take my dog out beforehand. But anyway, so yeah, so I see a lulls in the chat. But anyway, let's just cover the Velma stuff first. Get that done out of the way. Now again, so when I read the article, like with my last stream, I'm not I won't be really interacting with the chat because just in case I want to clip out anything. But again, I haven't played multiverses, so I don't know what her special abilities are. I don't know what the special abilities of any of the other players are, but hers is met with scrutiny, and of course it's on social media because social media reflects real life pretty much. That's how the mindsets of these individuals, pretty much. The ones that are complaining about this, that's their mindsets. Which again, it's like no one else has called the police at all on anyone. Pretty much. Let me close this ad. Yeah, I can already predict why. Yeah, Trey. So, Velma, no longer calls police on other fighters in multiverses after special move is met with scrutiny on social media because apparently, if your mind is going to anything revolving race relations or anything like that, you're the racist pretty much. Because she's part of the mystery crew. All right? There's the mystery van and so forth. Fred, Shaggy, Scooby-Doo, and why the fuck am I blanking on her name? But anyway, they're the mystery team. Basically, they solve crime. So of course, they're going to call the police, right? So that would be her special move, right? She's going to call the police because she solved whatever crime it is. So Velma's cop calling attack in multiverses has been changed to summoning the mystery machine after a smattering of discussion and jokes. Really? Right? Like, so, okay, fine, whatever, calling the mystery machine, but who cares if it was a cop car? If you've watched Scooby-Doo, or anything relating to Scooby-Doo, you know that at some point near the end of the episode, the police are going to be called because Velma breaks down how she solved the case. She's pretty much the Sherlock Holmes of the team. So, the police are going to be called, regardless. While Velma may not be as wild as other cartoon characters in Scooby-Doo, the franchise she actually stems from, the multiverses, has plenty of weird and wonderful moves. She can batter foes with the flash of her flashlight or camera, light bulbs appearing above her head when she has a good idea, mass shot out of a calculator, freezing chemicals thrown on the ground, and yelling sassy word bubbles, or through a megaphone. Sounds like pretty cool. Daphne! That's the name of the second one, chick in the group. Daphne. Velma and Daphne. Fucking hell. All right, but Velma's the one who primarily solves the crime. She's the one she's, like I said, the Holmes of the group. She solves the crime, and she lays it out for the cops at the end of the episode when people are trying to figure out how did she come to the conclusion it was so-and-so behind the mask, so to speak. And right here, her moves are pretty cool. I haven't played it, but, battering the foes with the flash of her flashlight, because, like, she's watched any cartoons. Flashlights play a factor because they always, like, look for clues in the dark. She's a very intelligent character, so smash out of a calculator, light bulb going off because she has a good idea, so forth. But torrents of projectiles aside, the move that's gotten some people in tizzy is where she calls the cops. The move's description reportedly states that Velma finds out who they really are and calls the police. Yeah, it's literally right out of the fucking cartoon, essentially. Pretty much literally right out of the fucking cartoons. She calls the police, right? Sure enough, after collecting enough evidence, Velma can call a police car showing them a wanted poster of Mr. Jenkins. It's the inside joke, literally, of the cartoon. Literally the inside joke of the cartoon. Speech bubbles then appear above one or more opposing characters' heads, revealing they are Mr. Jenkins in disguise. Again, inside joke. Because the joke is, they pull off the mask because they think it's a ghost, they think it's a werewolf, a vampire of sorts, whatever, and oh, surprise, surprise, it's actually this individual. All right, akin to the original cartoon's monster of the week, the police car then moves towards marked opponents. When it catches up to them, a silhouette of the character can be seen on the back seat, with the imposter marker changing to show the character behind bars as the police car attempts to hurl itself off the stage. All right, so you can call this on any other fucking character that you're fighting. Okay, you can call it any character. You like, if you're fighting Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny can be Mr. Jenkins, pretty much. Can be Mr. Jenkins. So as the prompt to call the police above Velma's head was shared by this individual, the Bestie Bon, others on Twitter mocked it by comparing it to a Karen, slang term attributed to demanding women who wildly escalate things that inconvenience them, which could hypothetically include calling the police for a minor or petty manner. Again, tell me you haven't watched any of the fucking cartoons without telling me you haven't watched any of the fucking cartoons. Literally, right here, by equating this move to her being a Karen, is not at all indicative of Velma. Others called it a white woman move, or joked the move could be more effective against black characters. Others instead opted for those accused of a crime, such as characters in the game due to their actions in their respective shows, or even in-game for assaulting Velma, or certain fighting game communities due to prior cases of sexual abuse and harassment by prominent or infamous players. Alright? So while the vast majority seem to be joking about it rather than making accusations of racism, Polygon took the matter more seriously in their report. Is that a funny idea and concept? Of course it is. Is it funny in practice to watch a cop car roll up and start wreaking havoc in the year 2022 in a game with black characters, including real-world people like LeBron James? Not so much. If your mind's going there, then you are the racist, pretty much. Polygon has literally come out and basically shown that they are racist, because this has been not any issue whatsoever in the past how many decades since the first premiere of the Scooby-Doo cartoon, because like I said, every fucking episode, Monster of the Week, they call the police at the end, they pull the mask off, and lo and behold, it's Mr. Jenkins, and Velma goes into everything that led up to her figuring out for clues or what have you, the real identity of the monster. So yes, it's part of her character. It's part of the Scooby-Doo cartoon. It's part of that whole plot synopsis growing up. And if your mind automatically goes to race, like I said, you could have fucking Bugs Bunny in the back seat, Wonder Woman, Batman, Steven Universe, Rick and Morty. All those characters I just fucking named, with the exception of Bugs Bunny, are white. You can have them in the back of the fucking cop car. Doesn't matter who you're fighting. But they automatically went to, it's 2022, and because the game has black characters, their mind went to, that's kind of racist. They can claim distrust in the American police force is at an all-time high. They later insist it's clear now to many Americans, although this is how long been obvious to marginalized and oppressed folks in this country, that the police are not the good guys. They are depicted as in shows like Scooby-Doo. All right, now I'm not going to sit here and pretend that every cop on the face of the earth is a saint. I'm not going to pretend that at all. Are there bad apples? Yeah, absolutely. There are bad apples, and we've seen that in news reports. However, to broad brush, the entire police force as they are not good guys, as depicted in Scooby-Doo. All right, fine. Then let's just paint with a broad brush. I'm half Middle Eastern, so let's do that with Middle Eastern characters and have every one of them be a terrorist. All right? Let's have every one of them be a terrorist. Let's have every black character be a hood. How would they like that? Right? Like, they're generalizing here. Let's just generalize all over the fucking place. While a petition asking for the police to be replaced with the mystery machine only reached 34 signatures, a fraction compared to those asking for Walter White to be in the game, or to make Velma thick again, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment and developer Player First Games acted on the discussion around the move. The open beta Season 1 patch notes released September 8th revealed that with the latest patch, instead of calling the police, Velma now solves the mystery and calls the Mystery Inc. gang and the mystery machine to take the bad guys away, which makes absolutely no sense. They don't do that. They just solve the crime and they move the fuck on. So basically, 34 signatures, Warner Brothers bent the fucking knee. Warner Brothers bent the fucking knee. Alright? The tag still shows the imposter being put behind bars, however. Alright, so yeah, you arrest LeBron James, he's still behind bars. So what the fuck does that do? In an arguably similar move, Epic Games removed police cars from Fortnite in 2020 amid the Black Lives Matter riots following the death of George Floyd, and wider discussion about police brutality. This was despite other police costumes still remaining in the game. Other fictional characters' fight for justice have come under fire in recent years. Some propose the more petty criminals have acted out of desperation to more libelous claims of them targeting people of color. Yeah, because, you remember those tweets that show up on social media, how, like, Batman is this rich and he can miraculously solve all the crime in the world if he just gave his money away. Shit like that, pretty much. That's the mindset of these people. But anyway, there it is. There it fucking is. So Velma can no longer use her special move and call the police on other fighters. Again, doesn't matter whom she's fighting. She could be fighting Bugs Bunny, Wonder Woman, Batman, Rick and Morty, Steven Universe, and other characters associated with this cartoon. I don't know what they are. Rick and Morty, what have you. What fucking have you. But God forbid she do her special move on LeBron James, because that's a big fucking no-no in 2022. But there it is, folks. There it fucking is. We have reached peak stupidity with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. I'm shuddering to think what Gotham Knights is like now, pretty much. So now I'm gonna catch up with you guys. Pretty much. She seems okay. We just have to make sure she doesn't have any feline leukemia, because if a cat has that, then she can't be around them. She can't be around other cats. I guess now she doesn't, like, if you missed it out, if you had the game and you didn't play it up until now, then, like, it's done. You don't have that. Hey, Alex, pretty much. Bad guys get arrested at the end of every episode. Yep. Yeah, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you kids. Yeah, every episode was a Monster of the Week. Every episode was Monster of the Week. Hey, Gravy, good to see you. So, no matter what, and if you watch the episodes, the vast majority of the monsters of the week are white criminals. So it's not. So it's like, but now it's 2022, and they automatically gravitate to police brutality, police are bad, and all this stupid stuff. All this stupid stuff. Yeah, only 34, and they bent the knee. It says right down here. Where is it? Yeah, only 34 signatures, which is a fraction compared to people wanting Walter White. Can you imagine Walter White in the multiverses game? Walter White being in the game, as well as the Make Velma Thick Again. Did they do the first one? Walter White? No. Did they make Velma Thick Again? Most likely not. I mean, I haven't played the game, so I don't know. 34 signatures. They decided they're going to remove this option, so she can't call the police, so she calls a mystery machine, which again would not happen in the cartoons. Yeah, it's mostly old white people. Hey, Bryce, say. So it's like, that's why I asked, have they watched any of this shit growing up? Have they? It's literally like most shows, even shows made nowadays, will follow a formula. And the formula is, with the Scooby-Doo cartoons, there's something apparently supernatural happening. They think it's a ghost, a werewolf, a mummy, things like that. It's like things are getting stolen, crime is happening, pretty much. So they call on the mystery, right? They call on the Mystery Inc. gang, with their mystery machine, solve the crime. Ends up, like I said, primarily being Velma. Fred is kind of like the comic relief, even though like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo primarily are. But Fred is, while he is intelligent, he's not as intelligent as Velma. But they never really made it to the point where it's like they elevated her by dumbing him down, so to speak. That was just his personality. So he was smart in a way, but like Daphne was smart in a way, but it ultimately ended up being Velma piecing together all the clues. And the Mystery Inc. gang, they didn't haul off the criminals. No, they called the cops. Because they were like, here it is. It was Mr. Jenkins all along. And the cops arrested them. No one cared. Yes! You can arrest a fucking gremlin. But again, because LeBron James is in the game, then that's a no-no. That's a no-no, pretty much. Hey, Glenn, what's up? Warner Bros. Is being stupid again. Being really fucking stupid again. Because if you play Multiverses, no, I haven't. It seems like it's a fun, free game to try. Much like a fighting game, style game. That you can no longer call the cops. Velma at least can no longer call the cops. That's one of her special moves, and she can't do that anymore after it received scrutiny online. People equated her to being Karen for doing that, even though it went with the whole premise of the cartoons. Polygon, who's lost all relevancy they ever had, if they had any. Saying it's a big no-no in 2022 because of particularly following the Black Lives Movement and so forth. There it is. You can't do that. You can't do it. So, okay, I'm just going to close that tab. I'm trying to save certain articles for Talk Nerdy to Us. So I'm not going to cover a lot of stuff. Like I said, this is going to be a relatively short live stream. Relatively short. Just because, like I said, I only have so much time to do this. And about 35 minutes or so, my review for episode 3, spoiler free as much as possible, will be dropping. Hey, Dead Punk Gang, so who's supposed to show up and save the day now? Superman? Yeah, well, apparently, yeah. So I guess, like, short of like having her moves be to call Superman, there it is. But let's just, you know what? We'll save the CBR article for last. That's the one where the author, Jamie Parker, claims the Rings of Power will surpass the Lord of the Rings. So let's just go to the Screen Rant article real fast. I saw this and I video Screen Rant calling this out. Now, again, I'm not sure if this is at all going to be the case or whatever, but when you have even Screen Rant saying this breaks Lord of the Rings canon, if they're right, about it, you can watch my review trailer. You really aren't missing much at all. To be perfectly honest with you, you're really not missing much at all. But anyway, when you have even Screen Rants, not exactly top tier shill site, but pretty fucking close, saying Rings of Power's Adar explaining how he breaks Lord of the Rings canon. Again, because these are showrunners who claim to not only love Tolkien and to be respecting his lore, but left and right breaking said lore, not even 3 episodes in, and you have Screen Rant saying this is could potentially break it. You're done starting to mess up a little bit. Now, we've been calling this out for months about what they're doing and actually how much in source material they actually have in terms of covering a second age period, pretty much. And I'll be going over that a little bit again during a spoiler discussion for episode 3. But Thomas Bacon of Screen Rant saying, no, this doesn't make any sense. This does not make any sense. So this will contain spoilers for episode 3. So if you don't want to watch this, leave now, forever hold your bitching. But here it is. All right? So episode 3 sets up the introduction of Adar, the mysterious ruler of the orcs. Okay? Now the ruler of the orcs is actually, in the hierarchy, Sauron and then Morgoth. All right? Morgoth is done. All right? He's been defeated. So, the hierarchy, the ruler of the orcs is Sauron. So, there wouldn't be anyone below Sauron. Sauron is pretty much the peak leader right now for the orcs. The orcs were specifically bred to be foot soldiers of sorts for Morgoth and Sauron. That's how they created their army. They can't, when I say create, I mean by corrupting, mutilating, and torturing elves, because they can't actually get normal way followers and things like that. No, they have to corrupt. They have to corrupt everything that's beautiful, everything that Iluvatar, God of Middle Earth, or in like basically the world, I should say, everything he created, they have to corrupt because that is their mindset. So the first age ended with the defeat of Morgoth, but in the Rings of Power episode 3, Galadriel learned the forces of evil had planned for that defeat. She discovered evidence of a contingency, one to be enacted in the event Morgoth fell, in which his successor claimed power in his place. That plan is to be enacted in the Southlands, the region destined to become known as Mordor. Already orcs stalk the Southlands, kidnapping entire villagers. You should say villages, not villagers. Entire villages, taking them as slaves so they can extend their tunnels across the Southlands and presumably beyond. Which really doesn't make any sense. Okay, okay. I'm not when I say yes, this is a continuous plan. I'm not saying that in a way to excuse this or anything like that. However, you're kind of make it fucking known by capturing not only villages but elves as well. To dig these tunnels. You're kind of making yourselves obvious at this point. I mean, I don't know how much more they expect to get away with this and not get noticed. However, with the poor fucking storytelling of Rings of Power as it's going right now, no one has fucking noticed this shit. Even though the elves have been patrolling this land for God knows how many centuries, you're telling me this contingency plan was in place and no one fucking noticed anything weird happening? Really? No one noticed that? It is little wonder the elves could find no trace of the orcs, for they acted in secret and they ensured none of their slaves escaped. They are led by a mysterious being named Adar, who is important enough for the entire episode to be named after him. Again, it doesn't make any sense. Even without letting their slaves escape, one, doesn't make any sense for them to exactly use slaves in this sense, and two, again, the elves have been there for how long? You're telling me that they haven't noticed anything? They haven't, at least come across that village that we saw in the past episode that's burned to the ground. You're telling me with their elf eyes, they can't see that distance away? None of this makes any fucking sense. All right. Rings of Power orcs are subtly different, but they are every bit as brutal and ruthless as Tolkien intended. They shouldn't be any subtly different necessarily, but that's neither here nor there. Although the elves speculate their leader is simply an alias of Sauron, in reality, Adar is believed to be an original character. He's also clearly one of the show's most important villains. Okay, this is, all right, spoiler again, spoiler. You don't see his face. You don't see his face, but the episode ends with this being walking towards Arondir, blurry so you can't see, and we're led to believe that this is Adar. All right. Arondir's companions point out that Sauron went by many names and suggest Adar could be one of them, which makes sense. Not saying like this is the only one of the few things in this episode that actually does make sense in a way, because Sauron is the master deceiver, right? But he wouldn't go by Adar. He went by Anatar in the actual mythology, pretty much. But again, that's neither here nor there. But that's the only thing that would make sense, because he wouldn't exactly come out and say, "Hello, my name is Sauron," with one of those name tags on himself. He deceives. But no, that's not Sauron. That's not Sauron. Although this is unlikely, they're almost certainly correct to believe Adar is either an alias or a title. Okay, Arondir notes Adar is an Elvish word, and it probably means father in one of the dialects Tolkien created. This can be deduced from Tom Bombadil's elven name, Erwain Ban Adar, which means eldest and fatherless, right? And it's likely then that Adar claims to be father to the orcs, perhaps implying that he was the servant of Morgoth responsible for creating the orcs in the Lord of the Rings. Okay. Morgoth is known to have had many servants during the First Age, and presuming he is indeed Morgoth's chosen. Sauron is known to have followed the same approach. He organized his army with clear lines of command, establishing direct reports who led his forces or had an impressive degree of independence. Adar could well be one of Sauron's lieutenants, the one tasked with commanding the orcs as they expand Sauron's kingdom across the Southlands. He is believed to be a new character created for Rings of Power, and there have been rumors he is played by Joseph Malle, best known for playing Benjen Stark in Game of Thrones. What's it with pulling actors from Game of Thrones for this? All right, fine. Bezos, you won your own Game of Thrones, but you had to pull the actors from that show, whatever. According to these reports, he is in fact a fallen elf who serves as the main villain of Rings of Power Season 1. If these reports are true, that right there breaks lore accuracy because, all right? You wouldn't have a fallen elf. You wouldn't simply have a fallen elf. It's not like the Sith in Star Wars or anything like that. If he's a fallen elf, he was corrupted and manipulated and tortured into being so. He would not have fallen, all right? He would not have fallen as like is kind of implying here. Tasked with following Sauron's instructions and expanding his sphere of influence across the Southlands. This would certainly fit with the elven origin of his assumed name or title. If these rumors are correct, then Adar is a major break with Lord of the Rings canon. Tolkien toyed with many different ideas for the origin of the orcs, and in one telling, they were in fact fallen elves. This concept made its way into the Silmarillion and unpublished work. Not fallen. No, not fallen. See, it says right here, not fallen. Okay? Elves who came into the hands of Melkor, so they were captured, broken, were put there in prison, and slowly arts of cruelty were corrupted and enslaved. So they didn't fall. They weren't fallen. They weren't displeased or disillusioned or anything like that with Iluvatar or anything like that. No, they were literally enslaved, broken, and corrupted. That's not okay. So them saying this up here, they were in fact fallen elves, is complete horseshit. When you read this right here, this quote right here, they weren't. They weren't. Christopher Tolkien had to make numerous editorial decisions when publishing Silmarillion, and he chose the earliest version because his father never completed his revisions. Later, reflecting on his father's views, Christopher Tolkien noted he settled on the idea orcs were bred by men rather than fallen elves. All right, this is Christopher Tolkien talking. This is not Tolkien talking. And yes, I know Tolkien himself, J.R.R. Tolkien, was a consummate perfectionist. He would actually go back and revise over and over and over again his works. All right, because it was never good enough, even for him, and things like that. But this is Christopher Tolkien talking, his son, not J.R.R. Tolkien. So if we were going to go by canon, we're going to go by how his father but how his father determined the orcs were created. All right. He seems to have been motivated by a desire to enhance the inherent mobility of the elves by stressing they were unable to fall. Elves are not all good, but fundamentally who they are and how they were created prevents them from being truly evil. Okay, so it's not necessarily canon. It's not necessarily canon. All right, but even fucking still, for this Adar right here to be rumored as simply a fallen elf makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no fucking sense in the scheme of things. But then again, nothing about this series has made sense, even in the first 3 episodes. Leading up to the first 3 episodes, we have constant lying, falsehoods, lore breaking left and right. The admittance they only had access to the appendices from the Lord of the Rings. The appendices. So they don't have rights to anything dealing with the Second Age. Everything that we're seeing here, pretty much, is them taking the outline, the timeline for the Second Age and writing their own story and using Tolkien as a vehicle to do so, pretty much. But genuinely fucking surprised at this point. All right. But there it is. Hey, Dave. Good to see you. So, yeah. Fictional characters. Yeah. I'm catching up with the chat now. Even Screen Rant's acknowledging it's shit, pretty much. That doesn't make any sense. Even Screen Rant is acknowledging it. Saying this does not make any sense. Dark Side Elf, yeah. So if elves can't be corrupted, or anything like that, if they're pure, they can't fall. So this character right here cannot be a fallen elf. If they're going with that premise, cannot be a fallen elf. And if we're going with the lore, okay, like this is from Tolkien himself. Again, there's been speculation, but it's been mostly speculation because Tolkien died before the Silmarillion was published, right? But he had it written. He had it written before he died, but he was revising up until his death. Okay, not everything, but a little bit. He was revising. So there's speculation that he would have changed the orcs' origin, but for the most part, he didn't. They were enslaved, tortured, and corrupted elves. They weren't fallen. So, Dark Side Elf does not make any sense whatsoever. Dark Side Elf does not make any sense whatsoever. And this breaks lore right here. Now, I can believe that Sauron would have lieutenants. That he would have lieutenants, in a sense. Because, I mean, he's taking the place of Morgoth. Okay, he is taking the place of Morgoth in the Second Age. He is going to be the big bad. He's the rising evil in the Second Age. Sauron is. All right. So I can believe that he'd have lieutenants and things like that in the military structure, so to speak. So he would give them orders. They would give the foot soldiers orders and so forth. But this breaks lore, right there, to even remotely hint at this elf a fallen elf makes absolutely no sense. And breaks lore. Even Screen Rant is pointing that out. Breaks lore. When you have Screen Rant pointing that out, then you done messed up. You're really starting to mess up. And they're already bastardizing canonical characters left and right. I pointed out in my review how they're bastardizing Farazan and Tarmuriel. Never mind the race swapping of Tarmuriel. I didn't even cover that in the review. They just bastardized their titles. It looks like they're going to bastardize their characters even further. Elendil, Isildur, pretty much kind of bastardized in a sense. Elendil had 2 sons, Isildur and Amarion. All right, no daughters, but because reasons, Elendil is given a daughter. So Isildur has a sister. You try looking her up, she doesn't exist. She's non-canonical. There are no sisters. And Amarion's name is dropped in the episode, but he's not there. So we have no idea what happened to him. We're just kind of led to believe through implication that he went against his father's wishes and decided to live his own life, so to speak. Kind of like what Isildur wants to do. It's not just a phased dad sort of approach without it going into that actual dialect, pretty much. But anyway, so let's just cover this third article. Let's get through this. All right. Thank you all again for hanging out with me on a Friday. My review will be dropping in a little less than 20 minutes now. And I'll be hopefully going live on Twitch later on this evening. Probably playing some Evil Dead the game. We'll see, because the new DLC dropped. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the plan for this evening. But anyway. So CBR, which stands for Certifiably Beyond, you know what? Hard R. Most times, is saying Rings of Power will surpass Lord of the Rings. Here's how. Rings of Power will surpass Lord of the Rings. Here's how. You can't make this shit up. You really can't make this shit up. Lord of the Rings films are iconic and beloved by J.R.R. Tolkien fans. Prime Video's Rings of Power will completely outshine them, according to Jamie Park. And how is this show when you have numbers coming out not only showing, and this is again third party, I made a video about this, third party numbers showing that not only did the House of the Dragon premiere in the first 4 days dwarf pretty much the premiere numbers in the US for Rings of Power, but according to the Samba TV's number crunching, the 1.8 million viewers dropped by 500,000 from episode 1 to episode fucking 2. 500,000 people, nearly a third, chose not to watch episode 2. So I really want to see the numbers now for episode 3 for this weekend. I really want to see them, because that right there alone, because it's technically from the first to the second week, and that's where you gauge the longevity of a property. And I want to see those numbers. Forgetting lore breaking right now, excluding it. When you have the general consensus being one of indifference to a show that's supposed to be set in Middle Earth for one of the biggest fucking fandoms out there, like I say, the biggest and oldest fandoms out there, longer than any Star Wars fandom, any Star Trek fandom, Doctor Who, DC, Marvel, what have you, longest and oldest fandoms out there. Literally should have been money in the bank for Amazon. People deciding not even to watch episode 2. I want to see how many people decide to come back to watch episode 3. I want to see those numbers. Because you have idiots like this claiming that show will surpass Lord of the Rings. I'm not saying Lord of the Rings was perfect, but they were damn fucking closer to being, like, they were actual adaptations of source material versus what this shit is. But here it is. This also will contain spoilers from episode 2 Adrift. All right. So if you haven't watched that by now, if you don't want any spoilers, leave now. Forever hold your bitching. If you don't care, let's just keep going. All right. So Lord of the Rings films are considered iconic, must-see movies by many people. They're often referred to as a perfect adaptation and trilogy. I wouldn't say perfect, but damn near fucking close. And a genuine adaptation, not what this shit is. Prime Video's new series, Rings of Power, has been planned out for 5 seasons. Again, the number of pages for the appendices they had to work with, and they pull 5 seasons from that. According to Empire, that means 5 seasons of in-depth stories and beautiful cinematography. It's entirely possible that the series may end up surpassing Lord of the Rings in every way. Directed by Peter Jackson, received numerous high awards. Jackson, the cast, and the crew delivered a stunning adaptation of Tolkien's work that continues to wow audiences to this day. Rings of Power has a lot to live up to if it wants to dethrone Lord of the Rings, but since it has multiple seasons to do so, the show can do even better than the movies. According to CBR, Lord of the Rings trilogy brought Tolkien's legendary book series to the big screen for the first time. Over the course of the 3 films, the epic story created a new generation of diehard fans. Every scene in the films was pure magic. From Hobbiton to the Black Gates of Mordor. Every on-screen moment immersed the audience in Middle-earth. The entire cast poured their hearts into their roles, making the characters some of the best fictional heroes and villains of the film. The success of Jackson's trilogy was proof that large-scale fantasy films could appeal to a wide audience without comprising their fantastical elements, or without comprising drastically, because there were some liberties taken, without compromising lore. See, that's the thing that's a big difference there, Jamie. That's a big fucking difference there. Is that Jackson didn't compromise lore. Definitely not to the fucking extent that Rings of Power is doing. Rings of Power has barely started its first season and it's already breaking records for Prime Video. The premiere was watched by 25 million people in the first 24 hours, making it the biggest premiere to date on Amazon streaming service. 25 million people globally. And as someone pointed out in my comments, that's a sample. I don't know how that fucking works, but that's globally in the first 24 hours. Across 240 countries and territories. All right? Across 240 countries and territories, 25 million people. If you crunch the numbers there, that's actually fucking sad. That's actually fucking sad. Never mind it was in the first 24 hours if we were to believe these numbers. But just let's just go with it. Again, okay? Take 25 million and divide it into 240 countries. That's there, right there. Then you have Samba TV saying that in the US, just the US, only 1.8 million people in the first 4 days watched episode 1. And it dropped to 1.3 million. In the US, one of the biggest audiences for Amazon Prime Video series, 1.8 million. I don't know how much sadder you can get, but there it is. But they're still running with this 25 million people in the first 24 hours and glossing over the fact that it was a global audience. While the story started slowly, it will undoubtedly build up as the actors are praising the final 3 episodes. Like, what? They're going to shit talk it? They want you to fucking watch the shit. So, of course, they're going to praise the final 3 episodes. Rings of Power reminds audiences what there is to love about Middle-earth. Oh, really? When it's bastardized and canonical characters introducing non-canonical ones because they don't have the rights to the Second Age or anything to adapt the Second Age, so they have to make up shit as they go along. They're telling the story that they want to tell and using Tolkien as a vehicle to do so. Literally coming out and saying that they're telling the story Tolkien never wrote. Literally right fucking here. So what is there to love about Middle-earth? While giving them a brand new perspective on the world. We shouldn't have a brand new perspective, so to speak. We should have the perspective of Middle-earth, but it should be Middle-earth of the Second Age, and we're not even fucking getting that. The timeline's all over the fucking place in this show, really. Such as interesting but different characters and its depiction of the original Hobbiton. Again, hobbits are not even mentioned in the Second Age. Harfoots are hobbits. Hobbits aren't even mentioned in the Second Age histories. They're not even mentioned until the Third Age. Till the Third fucking Age. So that is lore breaking right there to try to get away with that by calling them Harfoots instead of hobbits. They are hobbits. They are hobbits. Alright? Okay? All Harfoots are hobbits, but not all hobbits are Harfoots. Alright? The huge advantage that Rings of Power has is time. Again, I want to see the numbers from the first week to the second week because you already had that drop according to the third-party sources. The show has time to develop each faction, each character, and each moment of the story. Having multiple seasons allows the audience to create deeper bonds with all aspects of the show. All it took Jackson was 3 movies, and we had developed bonds with Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, the 4 hobbits, Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Boromir, Gandalf, Faramir, Theoden, Éomer, Éowyn, Arwen, Elrond, Galadriel, Celeborn. Not Denethor, not him. But anyway, like, we bonded with those characters. Jackson just needed 3 movies to do that. And you're saying this is a benefit for Rings of Power to give them 5 seasons to do this? That's pretty fucking shitty storytelling if they need 5 seasons to develop each faction, character, and moment. Lord of the Rings was able to build fan support with 3 films, like I just pointed out. But those films were spread out over 3 years. All right? A year apart. A year apart. Not drastic. Not drastic. All right? Not drastic. And if you take that into account, 3 films over 3 years. Fellowship 2001, Two Towers 2002, Return of the King 2003. All right? 3 years. So we're a year apart. Perfectly timed. A year apart. 3 years. 5 seasons. Okay? 5 seasons. With the second season not slated to premiere until 2024. 2 fucking years from now. And they're saying this is a negative because the films were spread out over 5 years when you're having 5 seasons, which is going to span more than 3 fucking years. The Rings of Power can create a dedicated audience with hopefully less time between seasons. Not the rate they're going. Not the rate they're going, because as of now, unless anything changes, it's not until 2024 when we're going to see the second season for Rings of Power. Season 2 is already in the works before season 1 finished. Lord of the Rings is one of the greatest trilogies of all time and comprised of some of the best films of the past 2 decades. The cultural impact and the effect they had on film overall cannot be undersold. Yet you're trying to do so to elevate this shit right here. Yet Rings of Power can have that same effect for the TV world. The quality of the show is outstanding, and over the course of subsequent seasons, it will be able to continue to build on that quality and expand Tolkien's universe even further. When you say phrases like will, you're saying it as a definite, not might, but will. Might implies there's a possibility, there's doubt, possibility of doubt. Will is you are predicting it. It will do this, it will do this, it will do that, it will happen. Not at the rate it's going. Not at the rate it's going. With that in mind, it's feasible for the Rings of Power to surpass Lord of the Rings trilogy in every creative aspect. So there it is. CBR really does stand for Certified Beyond Hard R, pretty much, because if you're making this prediction, which is 3 episodes in, just 3 episodes in, pretty much. I mean, this was before the 3rd episode dropped, but 3 episodes in, and you're giving those reasons, which really don't make any fucking sense at all when you crunch the numbers and you actually look at the release dates for the Lord of the Rings films, and you're saying like having 5 seasons to do it. If you need 5 seasons to engage any fucking fan out there, then you are doing a horrible job at storytelling. You're doing a horrible job at storytelling, but we've seen that so far in just 3 episodes. 3 episodes in, the Rings of Boredom continue pretty fucking much. All right, let me just catch up in the chat. Thank you all. Like I said, it's going to be a short stream, roughly. I was only going to cover 3 articles because I only have so much time. I have to jump off to take my dog out and run to the vet. You don't think you'll be watching this? Too many old movies to see? Well, there it is. What are the odds that this was a pre-existing script that got changed when they found out they had the rights to Tolkien's? Yeah, I'm saying like chances are this story was in the works as an original story, but now they had a chance to use Tolkien as a vehicle to do so. More delusional thoughts from Amazon Media, I see. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It literally is. It's fine gif. Einbrecht, hello. The books were great. I enjoyed the movies, but they're not really my thing. I'm not a movie adaptation person in general, though. At least not for complex works. Too many moving parts. Something important always gets cut. Yeah, I'm saying. People even had their criticisms of Lord of the Rings. They were a lot closer in adaptations than this shit is, as far as taking Tolkien's works and translating it to any type of screen. All right? But at the same time, yeah, people had their issues. People had their issues with Lord of the Rings. People had their issues with the Hobbit trilogy. All right? It's not like we're watching Rings of Power and yes, we're comparing them. We can't help but compare them to what came before. We can't help but compare them to what came before. But the reason why we're comparing them is because the showrunners don't have the rights to the Second Age. They've lied to fans for several years, and this is not an adaptation of Tolkien's work. It's in name only. It's literally in name only. He's not going to be happy if the numbers keep dropping. Buffy did it in 2 episodes. Yeah. Angel hooked me in 1 episode. Cobra Kai also. Yeah. You can do it. You should be able to do it in the first episode, but definitely by the second episode, you should have hooked people in. And when you had that 500,000 viewer drop, again, it's third party, and they can only take the numbers for the people who have certain smart TVs, as mentioned in the article I read. But 500,000, just that drop alone for what they could find, How much of a drop really was it there from the 25 million globally? Is Amazon going to release those numbers? Is Amazon going to release those numbers of the people who decided not to watch episode 2? How about the people who decided not to watch episode 3 because they were that indifferent to the first 2 episodes? How many? Sorry, I had to look at my phone because just look at the time, pretty much. Are they going to actually release those numbers? Trey says they'll hide them. I believe they'll hide them, or they'll or they'll fudge the numbers, so to speak. But there it is, folks. There it is. That's like what I wanted to cover. I really would like to not talk about Rings of Power, at least in terms of cringeworthy news, but can't help it because week after week after week, it's either calling Tolkien fans racist, sexist, misogynistic, what have you, claiming that certain members of the cast, the ones who were tokenized in tokenized roles, were receiving threats, racial slurs, and so forth without providing any proof at all. Like, you have those articles keep popping out, and as a result, those articles that also, on one hand, paint Tolkien as a racist. Like, was he you look at his legacy? Like, he kind of was racist to people speculating that he would be turning over in his grave at the racists in the fandom, pretty much. So you can't have it both ways. Was he racist or not racist? Pretty much, because you're calling all us fans who are criticizing the show, even though we're criticizing primarily the storytelling. We're primarily criticizing the storytelling. We're racist just because we're criticizing a character that happens to be not white. That's where their minds go. We're criticizing this character. That said character is black, therefore that the criticism must be due to racism. Never mind that we're criticizing the character itself, not the actor or actress. There it is. Pretty much. I'd like to get past this. I really would like to get past this. I'm watching the episodes, and that's good enough for me each week, but I can't fucking help it whenever I go on these websites, and one of the first fucking things I see is Tolkien fandom racist, Tolkien fandom sexist. Here's why you're wrong about Tolkien's lore. We're going to educate you plebeians, pretty much, because you obviously don't know Tolkien, even though you've been reading Tolkien for how many years of your existence. Things like that. Over and over and over again, each fucking week. Last Jedi playbook, yeah. Moses Ingram move. They don't even know. It's whatever it is to fit their narrative at that time. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty fucking much. But there it is, folks. Like I said, I just wanted to cover a few articles. I wanted to go live on my live channels. That way I start building up some content. I'm going to be later on tonight after sometime whenever I get back from the vets, uploading, re-uploading, so to speak, the last 2 episodes of the Cringe Factor, because they are focused on Rings of Power. So if you haven't had a chance to watch those, will be re-uploaded on my live channel, because I want to build up content for this channel. Try to go live for solo streams as much as possible every Friday, re-uploading live streams and so forth, just to build it up. I've reached over 120 subscribers. I have to wait, I don't know how many more days until I can finally create a custom URL, so that way it's easier to find. But this is my regular channel, Jade Shadow. I'm gonna be, like I said, building this up more and more and more, putting live streams over here, like the top 10s and things like that. So thank you all for helping me build this channel up. Slowly but surely, it's going to happen. And with your help, it'll get there. So if you can share these streams out, anytime I upload live streams or content from my other channel, if you could share that as well on social media, help me in a way, kind of just build it up. I'm not exactly expecting to be monetized anytime soon necessarily, but I can't really do it without your all help, and I appreciate every one of you who join in to watch me rant about this by myself, all these articles and so forth. The spoiler review breakdowns I do for the Rings of Power episodes, I'll be doing every Saturday on my main channel, and the Rings of Power reviews I'll be putting out every Friday after I watch each episode, pretty much, as well as other videos I make throughout the week, giving my thoughts, social commentary on stupidity within the pop culture news and so forth, as well as other streams such as Cringe Factory and on Twitch. So again, can't do it without you all tuning in and watching me either rant about something stupid on YouTube or ranting at a game on Twitch. So yeah, and my merch store, which I'll be building up as well. So look for that also. Thank you all. Thank you, Trey, Dead Punk Gage, Einbrecht, Orange Hat Reviews, Dave Myers. I know I saw Glenn Schroeder. Hello, good to see you. Brightest Day, Gaming or What. Thank you all. And everybody else in the chat who was lurking during this stream. Very much appreciated. Look for more of these streams in the near future as I build this channel up on every Friday. Probably go about this time as well, 2 to 3 p.m. thereabouts. My new video will have dropped. There it is. My new video is the review for episode 3 of Rings of Power. I'll be watching Cobra Kai as well. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it before I go live on Twitch tonight, but I'll do my damnedest to try. So if I don't finish it, no spoilers, please, in the chat. I will direct my mods to basically hide users who do that, or timeout users if you post spoilers. So I really want to watch that and get it done before Talk Nerdy to Us Saturday tomorrow evening, because I want to be able to talk about it at least with Steph. I'm not sure about Blast, but at least with Steph, because she and I have been watching it since season 1. So thank you all again. Very much appreciated. So have a good rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. I hope it's a fantastic day or night. And I will see you all Twitch later tonight and on YouTube tomorrow. So take care and peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.